Breaking news tonight, The Hand That Rocked the Cradle. It's not just a movie anymore. Did a glamorous young au pair plot the murder of her love rat boss's wife? And what about hubby? Good evening, I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
Juliana Peres, a Brazilian au pair, leaves with her host family's daughter for a trip to the zoo. On her way there, she realizes she's forgotten their lunches. Juliana returns home to find a scandalous scene that soon turns deadly.
So let me understand. The glamorous young au pair, as she is called, leaves to take the baby, just 4 years old, to the zoo, and then, day of all days, realizes, oops, I forgot lunch. Okay, so she goes back and comes upon what? A homicide scene? Listen.
Fairfax County police officers responded to a 911 call from within the home. In an upstairs bedroom, we found Joseph Ryan deceased as a result of gunshot wounds and found Christine Banfield suffering from stab wounds. Christine was transported to a local hospital and pronounced dead. We recovered 2 firearms and a knife.
This morning at 7:49 a.m., we received a cell phone 911 call that was an open line hang-up. That call was captured and noted, and 13 minutes later at 8:02 a.m., we received a cell phone 911 call from the very same cell phone, and 2 persons communicated with our 911 call taker. At that 8:02 911 cell phone call, the husband and the au pair communicate with the 911 call taker. The husband tells the 911 call taker that he just shot a man inside of his home, and the husband tells the 911 call taker that the man who he had just shot had stabbed his wife.
Okay, whoa, this is so crazy. So the au pair comes back. She finds this scene. Where did hubby come from? He is a Fed, for Pete's sake. I assume he was on his way to work. A Fed, a federal agent. So they come upon the wife bleeding out. You know what? Let me go straight out to investigative reporter and anchor Sierra Fox. You can find her on Fox 5 or find her online at the Sierra Fox. Sierra, thank you for being with us. Let me just understand. When the nanny, the au pair, gets back to the house to retrieve the lunches, number one, did she leave the baby in the car? Did she bring the baby in?
She brought the 4-year-old daughter inside and put her inside the basement while she went upstairs to check out the scene.
Okay, wait a minute. Whoa. Sierra, how did she know when she went in to put the baby in the basement and go upstairs? I thought she was just going in the kitchen to pick up lunch.
Exactly. As you know, Nancy, this case has a lot of twists and turns, very confusing and complicated. No idea why exactly she would bring the 4-year-old daughter inside when she thought there may be a threat.
Okay, right there. Hold on, Sierra. Wait a minute. It would be a cold day in HELL that this one comes into the house with that mouthful of red lipstick and takes care of the children. Okay, call me crazy. Ron Bateman is joining me, former homicide undercover narcotics agent, author of a crime trilogy, Silent Blue Tears, at ronbatemanbooks.com. But for my purposes, veteran law enforcement. Look, N-O. This one is not going to be my babysitter, Ron Bateman. Why does she have to have a mouthful of red lipstick to take care of to take care of a baby?
Yeah, I wonder who was involved in the interview process to select this au pair. I'm sure it wasn't the wife. I'm sure the husband had all the saying in this hiring.
Well, I can just tell you this, Ron Bateman. I'm definitely hiding these the next time she comes to our house. N-O. Okay, call me crazy. I'm sure you already have. Courtney Lasky joining us, board-certified behavior analyst. Courtney, why does she have to have a mouthful of red lipstick to take care of a 4-year-old baby girl?
I think some would argue it is a personal preference. Maybe she loves to feel good about herself, but there's not a need for it.
Wait. Okay, now the New York control room is torturing me. Why do I have to see all that cleavage at work? You know what? You're right. This has nothing to do with anything, but I can guarantee you this, Brian Foley. Brian Foley is joining us, veteran trial lawyer, former chief prosecutor in Harris County, that's Texas, author of What Prosecutors Don't Tell You. I don't know what you're talking about right there. Now criminal defense attorney. Brian Foley, did you see those two pictures? Did you?
Yeah, seems like, a very attractive young au pair.
Okay, Brian Foley, you seem pretty calm about it. I don't know if your wife would feel the same way, but let me get off her lipstick and her push-up bra and her teardrop open shirt right there and her selfie. Let me get back to the actual murder. That is why we are here tonight. Sierra Fox, this is what I want to understand. Sierra Fox joining me from Fox 5 DC. Sierra, so the au pair, aka babysitter, that lives in your house, comes in, and for some reason she instinctively puts the 4-year-old baby alone downstairs in the basement, and then she goes upstairs. You told me she just came back to get the lunch, the sandwiches. But that said, after she goes upstairs, what does she say she finds?
Well, when police arrived on scene, she told them that this was an intruder situation, that there was a break-in, and that her and Brendan Banfield, who is the husband, her employer, was inside and acting in self-defense. So before she went inside the home, when she turned around while she was on her way to the zoo with the 4-year-old girl, and she went back because she forgot the lunches, she actually called the husband, telling him that she saw someone outside walking to the home. So while he was on his way to work, he drove back to the house, and that's when they both went upstairs, and then the bloody scene.
Okay, I think I've got that straight. Listen, guys, this is Chief Kevin Davis, Fairfax Police.
The first 911 call came from what we now know to be the au pair's cell phone. That 911 call was an open mic. Nothing discernible on that call. It was a quick hang up. We noted that call 13 minutes later from the same 911, from the same cell phone. A 911 call was made, and on the phone was first the au pair communicating with us, and then she apparently handed the phone to the husband. The husband communicated with us, and that's when the husband told us that he shot and killed a man inside of his home. And that's when the husband told us that the man who he shot and killed was stabbing his wife.
Okay, so we don't have just the wife stabbed and she dies, the mother of the 4-year-old little girl. We have this guy that we learn is Joseph Ryan, and he gets shot dead. All right, so Sierra Fox joining us, Fox 5 Washington. This is not just a homicide, this is a double homicide. Unless, of course, the husband really is acting in self-defense, which is a complete defense. But we've got 2 dead bodies, let me just put it that way. Is that right?
2 dead bodies, yep, a double homicide.
Dr. Gorniak is joining us. For those of you that don't know her, Dr. Jean Gorniak is a renowned medical examiner who worked in the Clark County Medical Examiner's Office, and that is Vegas. Translation, never a lack of business at the Vegas morgue. Dr. Gorniak, I'm just thinking this through. Number one, when you find a female victim who is unclothed, you can immediately rule out suicide statistically. Women do not kill themselves to be found. I think it's instinctive. I'm not sure about that. I'm not a shrink. I can rule that out immediately. But let me talk to you about the number of wounds to this young mom nurse neck. I mean, if you want to kill somebody quickly, there are 2 ways to do that. 1, stab them to the heart, and 2, stab them to the neck, the jugular. Explain.
So yes, when someone is stabbed to the heart, obviously that's the main organ that supplies blood to the body. So when you're losing blood from the heart, blood is not circulating about the body, so your body's not getting any oxygen. Major vessels come off of the heart into the neck. So when you get stabbed in the neck, major arteries are going to be severed and you're going to be losing blood from there too. So both areas, when someone is stabbed there, are going to lead to someone hemorrhaging. So they're going to lose a lot of blood, decreased oxygen to the brain, and leading to death.
I've got a question. Other than possibly, Dr. Gorniak, a stab to the heart or the neck, I guess the third most lethal stab would be to the femoral artery on the leg. What do you think?
Yes, those are people don't realize that the big artery that supplies the blood to the legs are the femoral arteries. And sometimes we can't even tell that someone could even have a gunshot wound, a stab wound, and get that vessel. And then once again, all that blood is bleeding inside of the leg. And sometimes we're surprised, like, okay, how did they die? And it's because they got that artery in the leg. Also, common places to be stabbed is in the chest, and the lungs could be punctured and they can bleed out into their chest also.
I'm just thinking, Ron Bateman joining me, former homicide detective and now author. Ron, I'm just thinking about this lady, this mom, minding her own business, up in her bedroom, probably in bed, thinking her daughter, her baby, has gone to the zoo and that her husband, the Fed, has gone to work. And all of a sudden, all HELL breaks loose, and there she is stabbed multiple times in the neck. That is a horrible way to die.
Absolutely. You can't defend yourself when you're stabbed in the carotid artery in your neck. I mean, you're rendered completely useless at that point. So there's no way she could even take any maneuvers to try to defend herself. It's a very sad situation for sure.
And another thing, this is reminding me, Brian Foley joining us, veteran trial lawyer out of Texas, it's reminding me of comparisons. There she is in her nurse outfit. I believe she was in the NICU ward, a pediatric nurse. Brian Foley, this is very similar to the Brian Kohberger stabbings, where the victims are in bed, quasi-asleep, some ambulant, I guess, half asleep, half awake, and they are immediately confronted with a stabber. Now, that's a whole different mentality. It's not like a sharpshooter at a distance where the person doesn't even seem real. It's like you're shooting at an arcade duck going by on one of those conveyors. It's not real. But stabbing someone, and unlike strangling them, which is also an up-close and personal murder, it takes a degree of viciousness to stab someone, and you've got to be prepared for immediate blood flow, especially if an artery, such as the carotid artery or the jugular, is stabbed. That's a whole different mindset, Brian Foley. So how would you in any way minimize that with a jury? Stabbed in the neck repeatedly? A naked lady up in her bedroom, likely asleep?
Yeah, I think, as a defense attorney, when you're confronted with a situation like this, you want to point to the amount of confusion that there is in something like this. Why is there both a gun and a knife being involved? If this is all a plot, we know that the husband is an IRS criminal agent. He had a gun issued to him by the IRS that was used in this. Why are they doing multiple different plots? Why are they bringing in this unknown person, Joseph Ryan, from, out of nowhere?
Brendan Banfield finds his wife Christine nude and a man he doesn't know with a knife to her throat. Banfield tells the man to put the knife down, but he starts stabbing the 37-year-old mother. Brendan Banfield carries a gun as an IRS special agent, and he draws his service revolver and shoots the man in the head. The intruder is wounded and down on the ground. Banfield calls for Peres Magalhães and tells the au pair to get his personal gun, a Glock, out of the bathroom safe. Giving her the code, the au pair retrieves the Glock and, at Banfield's direction, shoots Joseph Ryan through the heart as he is laying on the ground.
Okay, wait. Okay, hold on. Let me understand what I'm hearing. Guys, in the last hours, a bombshell development in the investigation into the deaths of 2 people. Number one, the mother in this case, a local nurse, the mother of a 4-year-old little girl, Christine Banfield, stabbed to death, multiple stab wounds to the neck. Also, a guy that nobody seemingly knows, a 39-year-old guy, Joseph Ryan. He's up in the bedroom with the mom. Why is he there? So Sierra, the husband, shot the intruder, I guess, even though there's no forced entry. But why did he then go tell the au pair to shoot Joseph Ryan as well?
Right now, investigators haven't revealed exactly why Joseph Ryan was shot twice and why the husband would tell the au pair to get his Glock with the code and then shoot Ryan again, who is inside the Banfield's home.
Okay, this is what I don't understand, Ron Bateman. Why did the hubby, the husband, and the au pair have to kill the so-called intruder, Joseph Ryan, who I don't think was an intruder, but that's putting the cart before the horse. Why did they have to kill him twice? So am I supposed to believe that the husband shoots Ryan, who he finds with his wife,
In the head.
and then says, okay, I've shot him. I've got a gun on him. Now here's the code. You go get this other gun, and now you shoot him. That's total BS. And at a time like that, you're not telling anybody, hey, here's the code, 1, 2, 3, 4, pound, pound, pound. Now get the gun. No, I mean, the chief of police, the sheriff, his head must have blown off when he heard that. Why not just shoot the guy twice yourself?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it was reported that he was shot in the head by the IRS agent. So therefore, you're most likely dead. You're completely incapacitated for sure. But he's an investigator, and he wants his cohort to be equally culpable. So he then has her do the same thing and shoot him supposedly in the heart. So now, if I'm going to go down, you're going down too. So that way they're both culpable. I think that's the underlying plan.
Let me see that picture of Joseph Ryan again. He's petting a little puppy dog. Okay, he looks harmless, but of course looks can be deceiving. Okay, here's another fly in the ointment, the double 911 call. I promise you, if I'm calling 911, I'm not going to hang up and wait 13 minutes and call back. If there's a 911 call, there darn well better be a 911 happening. So listen to this.
Christine Banfield is mortally wounded, bleeding profusely as she lays on the floor in the Banfield bedroom. The man who had been stabbing her is Joseph Ryan. He's wounded when Brendan Banfield shoots him with his service weapon, but is killed when au pair Juliana Peres Magalhães shoots him through the heart as he is laying on the floor. Juliana Peres Magalhães calls 911, and after connecting with the operator, she hands the phone to Brendan Banfield. This is the second time that day that Magalhães dials 911. The first, she called from the basement, but she later told police she hung up when she realizes she has no idea of what's going on upstairs.
Okay, I found out, Sierra Fox, digging through some police docs, that the husband told the babysitter to go and to put the baby in the basement. That's the story. But here's what I want to understand also, Sierra Fox. Joseph Ryan, who's lying dead on the floor when cops get there, he's shot in the head and the heart. Is that right?
That's what I read in court documents, yes.
Okay, so they didn't think shooting him in the heart was enough to kill him, or the head. They had to kill him twice also. So the wife is stabbed multiple times in the neck, the jugular vein, and Joseph Ryan, there he is with his little puppy again, looking harmless. He's shot in the head and the heart. Okay, I don't think this guy broke in. Listen,
On the sexual dating site FetLife, a profile is created using the online name of Anastasia9. Finding the Anastasia9 profile for Christine Banfield and communications between Anastasia9 and Joseph Ryan, authorities believe someone other than Christine Banfield set up the profile, and it was someone else that was communicating with Joseph Ryan while pretending Anastasia9 is Christine Banfield.
Okay, I'm drinking from the fire hydrant right now. Too much, too fast. Let's just start with the Fetish website. All right. To Sierra Fox joining us, Fox 5 DC. Joseph Ryan did not break in. We know no forced entry whatsoever. Why doesn't anybody have nanny cams, for Pete's sake, or surveillance video so I can figure out what's going on? The pair, and this is the mom, and Joseph Ryan, an unknown male, the one petting the puppy dog, they've been talking on an adult fetish site, and now we find out the mom reportedly has a profile there, and she, the mom, who works full-time as a nurse and takes care of a 4-year-old baby girl, wants rough sex at home where her husband just left 2 minutes before. Okay, Sierra Fox, I can remember when the twins were 4 years old. The last thing on my mind was going on an adult fetish website and meeting some guy I've never met for rough sex. Okay, I was just trying to get through the day. Okay, so explain to me, this working mom, and nurses are on their feet all day long, taking care of a million people, from washing their hands and slapping on Purell all day long, to cleaning bedpans, to helping people vomit, to bringing meds and making sure they take their meds and they're fed and they're this and they're that all day. They have to wear those special shoes because their legs hurt so much at the end of the day. She comes home to the baby and the fed, the husband, with the IRS. No comment there. Not a word. And now she wants rough sex? Is that what I'm supposed to understand, Sierra Fox?
Nancy, to your point, this is very, very perplexing. Fairfax County Police have not released the specific relationship between Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield, but sources do confirm they
Did you
were
say
communicating
perplexing?
on a fetish website.
Did you say it's perplexing?
It is. A lot of questions are being raised. And last week at the press
Sierra,
conference with Fairfax
do
County
you have
Police, they
children
didn't want to
yet?
explain.
Sierra, do you have children?
I do not, no.
Okay, see, that's why you have so much energy, okay? Just wait. Just wait. Trust me, Sierra, the last thing is going to be on your mind, first thing in the morning, is having the guy you have never met off a fetish website. Now, I need to understand something. Back to Ron Bateman.
Oh, God.
Digital evidence. That's what I want right now. I want it fast and I want it now. Digital evidence. How did this website get set up? Did this mom, do we really know she set up the website connection with Joseph Ryan? Because if she didn't, I am telling you, fur is going to fly, Bateman.
You know what? That part of the investigation is going to reveal a lot of information. And if you would like for me to talk about it now, I had a conversation with Chief Kevin Davis this morning about this case. I've known Kevin for a long time. He's a great cop, first and foremost. The case is still ongoing, of course, so he can't reveal everything. But he assured me that they have a very, and I'll quote this, a very strong case, and he has a lot of forensic evidence that's very damning.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app, where you can get all of our content, where we, in our own way, seek justice.
The husband was treated at a local hospital for a minor injury that he told us he had to his leg, and the husband has elected not to speak to Fairfax County detectives. The au pair is speaking with Fairfax County detectives right now. The husband is not charged, he is not accused, He was present at the home.
Not speak to detectives. If someone so much as touched a hair on my husband's head, I would be lying on the front step of the police station, screaming at the top of my lungs to get the person that hurt my husband. Did I just hear Brian Foley? Is it possible? The husband has, quote, elected not to speak to Fairfax County detectives after his wife has been stabbed in the neck repeatedly in her bedroom butt naked, and he doesn't want to talk to detectives? No, that's not right, Foley.
Well, you do have the Fifth Amendment right not to speak to the police if you
Put
don't want
him
to. And he did also shoot somebody
Foley,
just a minute ago.
why wouldn't you want to speak to police? Why wouldn't you want to speak to police and tell them how you came in and this guy's stabbing your wife in the neck? So you shoot him dead in the head, but then for some reason get your au pair with all the red lipstick to shoot him in the heart too. That's a whole nother can of worms. But why would he want to take the fifth, Foley?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many cans of worms. Like, for example, if Christine didn't make that
I
dating
just said that.
profile, why
See,
did
if I say
she?
it, you don't say it right after me. Echo chamber. What?
So if there was confusion in this case, it comes starting with Christine making this website, and there's no forced entry, so we know she let this guy in who would have been a stranger to her.
To Courtney Lasky, I can see that now I see why Brian Foley wins so many cases. He's going to go down with a ship defending this guy and the au pair. Courtney Lasky joining us, board certified behavior analyst, and you can find her at littlestartherapyks.com. Courtney, I'm not a shrink. I'm not a behavioral analyst like you, much less board certified behavior analyst. But I know when I smell a rat, I smell a rat because I find it really hard to believe that if I had been harmed, stabbed much less, that my husband would not tear the whole place down trying to find out what happened. And he, quote, elects not to speak to police about his dead wife lying naked in the floor. And this guy is a Fed. He works with the IRS. He knows the law. So why wouldn't he speak to police, Courtney?
That is one of the most pressing questions that I have. He is in the criminal division of the IRS. When we look at behavioral forensics, we first look at all of the individuals involved and we look at their learning histories. Mr. Banfield has an extensive learning history in crimes and understanding the legal aspects, how to plan a crime, how to defend against a crime, how to investigate a crime. So he would have that knowledge of what he should and shouldn't do following a serious event that occurred in his home.
Okay, guys, what happens next? Listen to Kevin Davis, Fairfax County Police Chief.
On February 24th, 2023, I stood in the middle of a cul-de-sac street in Fairfax County and described the deaths of two persons inside of a residential home. Now, 570 days later, we know the deaths of Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield are both, in fact, murders. I will not describe our victim Joseph Ryan's relationship with anyone involved because this investigation continues. And like any criminal investigation, our probing of the facts does not end when an arrest is made. This much is clear. We have evidence to now allege that Christine Banfield's life was unlawfully taken and Joseph Ryan's life was unlawfully taken.
Well, that can only mean one thing. When they say that both Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield were murdered, that means to me, of course this will be determined in a court of law, that no one was acting in self-defense. Now, to Dr. Jan Gorniak, renowned medical examiner, formerly out of Vegas, Dr. Gorniak, I don't like this, but I know it to be true. It's very hard to date, or time stab wounds. For instance, which stab came first? But in this case, to determine who stabbed the wife, Christine Banfield, we could look at the body of Joseph Ryan. Yes, he's been shot in the head and the heart, both obviously mortal wounds. But wouldn't we be able to, for instance, look at his hands to see if they were bloody? Is he the stabber, or is somebody else the stabber? What would you look for on his person? When that body rolls into your morgue, what would you do?
It's difficult to determine which one came first, absolutely, because we don't know what positions the bodies were in when they were stabbed. So, for example, we know that she was stabbed in the left side of the neck and the right side of the neck, and we want to know what hand the perpetrator uses. So, if she's face down and they're right-handed, she'll have stab wounds on the right side of the neck, and if they're facing each other and the same thing uses the right hand, that would be on the left side of her neck. Unfortunately or fortunately, people just don't stay in one position to sustain injuries like that. Like you said, it's up close and personal. So it's not an injury that's going to be immediately fatal. So you're going to start moving around, but it's going to be very difficult to determine unless the perpetrator has injuries on their hand. It's going to be very difficult to tell who the perpetrator actually was.
Dr. Gorniak, at first I thought that this sounded crazy, but then I started seeing it over and over and over again, and I realized it's true. And I would love to have gotten to look at Brian Koberger's hands immediately after the four university students were murdered quasi asleep. Very often, even if you are using a knife that has a hilt, like one of these, your hand slides down from the handle onto the blade. The human body puts up a lot of resistance when you stab. It's not like stabbing into butter. It's more like stabbing into a roast beef that's been in the fridge a really long time, or a turkey, yes, a turkey. Just stabbing straight in, and you meet resistance. And very often, perps are not prepared for that resistance, and they stab, and their hand slides down the blade, and they get sliced. It's actually very common, especially if you have the overhead stab motion as opposed to the straight ahead stab motion. Very interesting. It's very interesting, the dynamic of stab wounds. That said, that's one thing that we would look for on Ryan's hands. Is he even the stabber? Also, do you have the victim's blood on Ryan, which is going to be really hard to determine because she's covered in blood. It's a bloody crime scene. She's been stabbed in the jugular vein, for Pete's sake. He's been shot twice. And somehow you, the medical examiner, have to preserve the clothing, preserve everything you find on the hands, if anything, because at some point, somebody, a DNA expert, is going to want to differentiate between his blood and her blood. That's a tough order, Dr. Gorniak.
As you said, Nancy, there are a lot of variables when it comes to stabbing, injuries, and whether the perpetrator is going to get injuries on their hands. It's going to be where they're stabbed, the person is being stabbed, the type of instrument that they're using. So I hear you when you talk about the the force or the tension that comes with stabbing somebody. But remember, in the neck, you're not going to run into resistance until you hit actually the cervical spine, so the vertebrae in the neck, compared to stabbing somebody in the chest. So therefore, it is like once you get through the skin, depending on how sharp the instrument is, it is going to slide through the body like butter. So there may or may not be injuries on somebody's hand. Plus, those vessels in the neck sit so close to the skin, you don't have to penetrate the neck that deep. So yes, we're going to look at the victim's hand, But our experience, because we usually don't have the suspect who did the stabbing on our table also. So this is a very unique case. So they might be able to determine whether or not she was stabbed by the unknown assailant in her house.
We charged Juliana Margalhães with the murder of Joseph Ryan on October 13th, 2023. We are today announcing aggravated murder charges against Brendan Banfield for the murder of his wife, Christine Banfield, and Joseph Ryan. Brendan Banfield, then 38, and Christine Banfield, then 37, were married and living in a single-family home with their then 4-year-old daughter.
Sierra Fox joining us, Fox 5. Is this true? And I want to show you a photo. Is it true that police find the babysitter, the au pair's clothes hanging in the dead mom's closet and a picture of the au pair and the husband on the bedside table? Is this real?
It's real, it's true, and it's absolutely chilling. Police released a photo of the au pair and the husband together on the bedside table right next to the bed, and that's the same exact room where these murders happened. So very scary.
I'm looking at the photo right now. What is in the background? Where are they? Are they going on dates and they've taken? Looks like he's taking a selfie. I mean,
Yeah, you can see her arm around his arm.
Okay, you know what? That's too much for me to even take. Whoa, my goodness! Wait, the cleavage is back. There she is. What? I'm showing a photo right now, Sierra, of them at a restaurant, happily posing together. Here, it looks like they're getting somebody else, probably the waiter, to take that picture. When did this happen?
No idea when that specific photo appeared, but they have been in an affair while the au pair was living inside the home. At this time, it's not clear if Christine knew about it or not.
Oh my stars, this woman working to support the family and coming home, and these two have been at it like two bunnies all day long. So not only do we have confirmation now of what we suspected, these two were having a sex affair right under the dead wife's nose. But it's deeper than that. Affairs happen every day. Do I like it? No. Does it happen? Yes. Does that make the husband a murderer? No, it doesn't. But wait a minute. Listen.
Investigators say, however, they believe it was all a ruse, that someone else created the profile on the adult fetish website pretending to be Christine Banfield. In fact, investigators believe Ryan's murder was part of an elaborate plan to kill Christine Banfield so her husband Brendan and their Brazilian live-in au pair could be together.
So this is a very elaborate plot, Ron Bateman. It seems as if Joseph Ryan, who was on the website, we think, the adult fetish website, was lured to the home by someone pretending to be the mom, Christine Banfield, using the profile name Anastasia 9. And he responds to what he believes is a request for an encounter for rough sex. Okay, do you really believe that this au pair put that whole plot together on her own and the husband knew nothing? Ron Bateman?
Okay, so that's where this investigation is really going to reveal a lot of things when they start looking into IP addresses where this was created. It might have been at his work or at a friend's house or at a hotel room that they rented. That's really going to reveal a lot of things. And, it's pretty common. Number one rule in the How to Commit a Crime handbook is don't do it with someone else. And that's exactly what this guy did. He had this au pair, he had this plan. The plan sucked, and it backfired on him big time.
Is that a technical legal term? Yes, it is. The plan sucked. Now, this gives DIY a whole new meaning, these two plotting together. And in the last days, another bombshell. Hubby busted. Listen.
Early last year, the double homicide of Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan shook our entire community. Today, I'm pleased to announce that due to the hard work of police and prosecutors, the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office has secured an indictment against Brendan Banfield for the murder of his wife, Christine, and the murder of Mr. Ryan. Fairfax County police officers took Brendan Banfield into custody, and he's been brought to the same adult detention center where Juliana Peres Magalhães has been since last year when she was arrested for the murder of Mr. Ryan. The great investigative work of the Fairfax County Police Department led us to new information, which was instrumental in securing today's indictment that charges Brendan Banfield with aggravated murder and the use of a firearm in the commission of a felony.
Was it worth it? Of course, he's innocent until proven guilty under our Constitution. Was it worth it just to have sex with the babysitter under your wife's nose? Because now the baby girl, mom is dad and dad's behind bars awaiting trial. Is it true, to Sierra Fox joining us, Fox 5, on the case from the very beginning, that in court, the husband, the Fed, the IRS agent, refused to even state he was married to Christine at the time she was killed?
One of my Fox 5 colleagues was in the courtroom, and they did say that he just continued to plead the fifth, exercising his constitutional right to remain silent and not potentially incriminate himself. So he did not say anything during that hearing.
Take a listen to our friends at Crime Online.
When Juliana Peres Magalhães, the Banfield family au pair, is charged with the death of Joseph Ryan, but not charged in the death of Christine Banfield, Police Chief Kevin Davis says the investigation is ongoing, and he expects to hold more than just one person accountable for the crimes. Now, Brendan Banfield is charged with 4 counts of aggravated murder and use of a firearm in the commission of a felony. He's being held without bond.
So the nanny, the babysitter, Juliana Peres Magalhães, is charged in the death of Joseph Ryan. But 2 people were murdered. What about the mom, Sierra Fox? Who's charged in that?
Well, Brendan Banfield is facing several charges, including 4 counts of aggravated murder and use of a firearm and commission of a felony. And right when we heard this from the Commonwealth's attorney, we were confused. Why 4 counts? Well, the reason is very technical and lawyery. Nancy, as a former prosecutor, you probably understand best. But essentially, the aggravated murder statute in Virginia has multiple options to prove that. And so when they look at that and plan to present what they have, prosecutors just wanted to be able to cover all their bases, so the jury had options.
I say charging in the alternative, like charging with murder 1 and then charging with felony murder as an alternative murder charge. I see what you mean. If you know or think you know anything about this case, no matter how slight, LE Law Enforcement is building a case now. Please call 703-246-7800. Repeat, 703-246-7800. 2 people are dead, and I want to know why. We stop now and remember an American hero, Constable Deborah Martinez Garibay, shot and killed in the line of duty. A U.S. Army vet. She is survived by a grieving husband, Gabriel, and a little daughter, Ryan, sentenced to life without her mommy. American hero, Constable Deborah Martinez Garibay. Thank you to all of our guests being with us tonight, and also to you and our new MSM family for being with us tonight and every night. Nancy Grace signing off. I'll see you tomorrow night, 6 and 9 o'clock sharp Eastern. And until then, good night, friend. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.